It has become fashionable to blame General Yahya for all the strategic, political and operational failures of Pakistan in 1971 war. This short video is for dumb people who have not understood military history and are engaging in making sensational videos lampooning General Yahya and the army without sufficient knowledge, without sufficient base, people who don't know anything about military history. So I want to clear these rather crude and shoddy attempts to make fun of General Yahya as well as the army. The essence of the whole business was the fact that the Pakistani GHQ was placing entire reliance on the superior valor and martial qualities of the Pakistani, Punjabi and Pathan Muslim soldier vis-a-vis the Hindu Indian soldier as proved in 1965 war, according to them. A subjective view again. And they felt that somehow in the next war miracles would occur and the Pakistan army would do well. The tangible military facts of the Indo-Pak politico-military scenario were not analyzed in their true dimension. It was a classic case of perceptual distortion and losing sight of reality. Eric Berne, an eminent psychologist, defined adjustment as ability to change one's images to correspond to a new reality. Berne rephrases adjustment as flexibility, which he defines as ability to change your images as they would be changed according to reality. This, in Berne's view, is more important than intelligence. Berne thus concluded that the successful man is the one whose images correspond most clearly to reality. Because the actions will lead to results which he imagines. This is a matter of fact, one of the prime functions of a military and political leader. The success of Western democracies lay in the fact that one man was never totally in command of both civil and military functions, and these responsibilities were divided and shared between various appointments. Sadly, this was not the case in Pakistan, where one man, General Ayub Khan from 1958, wielded all power, both civil and military. This was the background. Now, coming to Yahya Khan, unfortunately in Pakistan after 1971, blame was heaped on Yahya's shoulders. He was made the scapegoat, and typical cheap phrases like he was a drunkard and he was a womanizer and cheap attacks on his personal morality. But the hard military situation was never analyzed. All blame was heaped on Yahya's shoulders. the fact that the psychosis had afflicted the Pakistani decision makers in the period 1966 to 71, which finally led to the great humiliation of 1971, had a close connection with the nature of Pakistan's experiences as a nation in the period 1947 to 71. Yahya was made a scapegoat for all that had gone wrong in 1971. We will analyze more of this in the subsequent lines. I will quote Eric Byrne again and define the greatness or lack of it in Pakistan during the period 1947 to 71. But before we do it, we must understand that man is not fully psychologically independent. There are few truly great men who act more autonomously than the multitude. Byrne defined individual human greatness as a great man is the one who either helps to find out what the world is really like or else tries to change the world to match his image. In both cases, he is trying to bring images and reality closer together by changing the one or the other. In the period 1966 to 1971, Pakistan did not have the resources to change the world as much as its images, nor great men who had the depth of character and intellect to find out what the world is really like and changing their images. This was true not only for Yahya but for the whole Pakistani military and political high command. There was total mediocrity, and the 1971 failure was a collective failure, but only Yahya was blamed. Many Pakistani intellectuals, with the naivety of a provincial farm maiden, try to heap the whole blame on liquor and Yahya or on liquor alone. This unfortunately is too simple a view. The Pakistanis, on the other hand, were anti-Ayub and resented Ayub's policy of allocating a predominantly large part of the resources of the country to the development of the West Wing. When Ayub handed over power to Yahya Khan on 25th March 1969, Yahya inherited a 2-decade constitutional problem of inter-provincial ethnic rivalry between East and West Pakistan. As a matter of fact, the East Pakistan problem dates back to 1916, when the Bengali majority was reduced by the All India Muslim League from 52 to 40%, based on the fact that Bengalis were culturally or politically inferior. This was the most dangerous and most unkindest cut delivered against the Bengali Muslims. Now, in all fairness to Yahya, he attempted to undo the harm that Ayub Khan had done. He undid the one unit, restored provincial autonomy, and held the first direct franchise, free and fair elections in Pakistan's history. Now we must understand the inflated perceptions about Pakistani military effectiveness. The essence of the whole business was the fact that the Pakistani GHQ placed reliance on the superior valor and martial qualities of the Pakistani soldier. This was a very, very, weak view, and it did not correspond with reality. Now, after 1965 war, very exaggerated and false propaganda started, led by the information secretary, the infamous Altaf Gaur. And the propaganda was that angels had come and had defeated the Indians, and that one Pakistani soldier was equal to 10 Indian soldiers. This propaganda between 1966 and 1971 war created inflated military perceptions. I will quote two Pakistani war heroes so that the layman readers and the many dumb analysts, so-called analysts on the YouTube, understand what actually happened. The Pakistani Director General of Public Relations, Brigadier A.R. Siddiqui, in his book on the Pakistan Army's press image, thus narrated a thought-provoking incident soon after the war. Siddiqui met Brigadier Qayyum Sher Hilal Jorat, who, as discussed, had distinguished himself in Infantry Brigade Commander opposite Lahore. Qayyum Sher, as Siddiqui narrated, was unhappy about the unrealistic expectations and myths that were being created by the Pakistani media. Qayyum Sher told Siddiqui, quote, "Miracles," he mused, "may indeed have happened, but they happen only once," unquote. Qayyum Sher further told Siddiqui, "Let me tell you that your press chaps," and he meant Altaf Gaur and company, which were creating false images. "Let me tell you that your press chaps are doing a lot of harm to the soldier psychologically by publishing all these foolish stories. I wonder what they are really trying to tell the world, that the Pakistani soldier can fight his war only with the help of his celestial allies, that he is facing an enemy, India, inferior to him in all respects," questioned Qayyum Sher. Qayyum Sher continued, "I admit God's help is of the utmost importance, but it is no substitute for one's own performance. It would be quite stupid to forget the Indian soldier as much a professional as his Pakistani counterpart. Indian soldier has been trained in similar military systems and institutions and fights like hell when he has to. The only reason why the Pakistani soldier put up a comparatively better performance in this war was that he fought largely in his own home ground as a defender." Siddiqui further noted that the Pakistani image makers, Altaf Gaur and company, had little use for such sterile talk. They had their own mental picture of the war and regarded it as the only correct one. Anybody who dared to speak of the war more realistically beyond Altaf Gaur's propaganda was regarded as defeatist and was condemned. Qayyum Sher was not the only one in entertaining these views. Major General Tajammul Hussain Malik, who defended Lahore in 1965, commanding 3rd Baluch, was having similar views. Tajammul thus stated, "We had patent tanks whereas Indian had mostly Sherman tanks, which were comparably much inferior. Similarly, our artillery guns outranged the Indian artillery guns. The Indians had an external superiority, overall superiority of infantry, perhaps of almost 1 to 2, but most of their divisions were comparatively ill equipped and untrained, and they had a much bigger frontier to defend. Unquote. This is Tajamul Hussain Malik, another war hero of 1965, also much praised in his defense of Hilli. Now let's analyze this irrational psychosis which the whole Pakistani nation was suffering. Many years earlier, one of the greatest thinkers of this world, Sigmund Freud, rightly noted that the irrational forces in man's nature are so strong that the rational forces have little chance of success against them. Freud thus concluded a small minority might be able to live a life of reason, but most men are comfortable living with their delusions and superstitions rather than with the truth. As a matter of fact, whole nations can be victims of this condition, like the Pakistani nation was in 1971. But dumb analysts on so many social media forums are only blaming Yahya Khan. Now, my father was posted to the Military Operations Directorate, and when he joined in 1973, he asked his head clerk about the counter-attack plan to save East Pakistan. And the head clerk laughed and said there was none. The harsh fact was that the Pakistani planners in the GHQ, led by Sahibzada Yaqub Ali Khan and Gul Hassan, were clueless about what would happen in case Indians attacked East Pakistan. There was no plan. This was a collective failure. But it was very convenient to blame Yahya Khan after 1971 war and more later, and this is for now.